We'll go ahead and welcome everybody tonight. If everybody could go ahead and stand, and we're going to say the prayer, then the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you on this evening, God, thanking you for yet another day. For this is the day that you have made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you for those that have come out for the meeting this evening. We ask that you bless them and their families. Likewise, God, we ask that you bless the council. Lead, guide, and direct us in every decision that we make. Give us wisdom and understanding to do thy will. Lord, we thank you for this community, and we ask that you bless it. Father God, we pray for peace in Israel right now in the mighty name of Jesus. We thank you and we praise your holy name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Good. Okay. Starting with the agenda of October the 10th before us, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. President, we have one deletion to remove the proclamation of certificate of recognition for Off the Rack by Dinah.
Okay.
She's unable to attend this evening.
Okay. No problem.
I'll second.
Okay, so we've got a motion and second to remove that proclamation. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, so we got that straight. Okay, next is the disbursements of October 3rd and the 10th. The council has had a chance to review the disbursements. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the disbursements? Okay. Yep, hearing none, the chair moves that be accepted as unanimous consent. Okay. All right, tonight we have the election board and members in front of us. Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and read the proclamation, please?
Council's commendation, Election Board Open House and Voter Information. Whereas the Talbot County Board of Elections strives to help voters feel empowered and confident in the voting process, encourages them to help others do the same. And whereas the Talbot County Board of Elections seeks to encourage voter participation by providing voter registration information to promote fair and equitable elections and to serve as a reliable source of information about the election process. And whereas voter education is important to ensuring transparency in the election process, and in recognition of this, the Talbot County Board of Elections has scheduled an open house on Wednesday, October 18th, 2023, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at their offices located at 215 Bay Street, Suite 7, Easton, Maryland. Now therefore, we, the County Council of Talbot County, do hereby urge all citizens of the county to recognize the importance of exercising their right to vote and encourage citizens to attend the open house and to consider signing up to serve as an election judge to help strengthen our democracy and ensure we have safe, accurate, and efficient elections. Given under our hands in the Great Seal of Talbot County this 10th day of October in the year of our Lord, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we got a motion second to approve the proclamation. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. You guys want to come on up?
Good evening.
Good evening, Tammy. How are you?
Well, how are
Good.
you? I'm Tammy Stafford. I'm the director of the Talbot County Board of Elections. This is our board president, Susan McKinnon. I would like to thank you for the support of the Talbot County Board of Elections. Historically, Talbot County has a high voter turnout percentage, ranking in the top 5 counties over the past 7 elections.
Yep. You can break it down to you. There you go.
We expect this trend to continue during the 2024 presidential election cycle. This proclamation is meant to encourage voters to learn more about the election process, by going online and reviewing their voter information and locating their polling places. Voters can also learn about voting in Maryland and how they can serve as an election judge by attending one of our upcoming outreach events. We will be at the Talbot County Community Resource Expo Saturday, October 14th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Easton Elementary School, or stop by the Elections Open House at our Bay Street office Wednesday, October 18th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. In an effort to recruit more election judges and with the support of our board members, we have participated in 2 voter outreach events this year, one being the Talbot County 4-H Fair, and the second one being the National Night Out here in Easton at Moton Park. And at both of those events, we've been working diligently to recruit election judges, and with the support of our board members. Election judges are important to the election process, helping to ensure the integrity of the election. As of today, we have 110 election judges committed to serve. 59% of those are Democratic, 31% are Republican, and 10% are unaffiliated or other. Our goal is to be as party balanced as possible. Voters who are interested in serving as an election judge should call the Talbot County Board of Elections for more information.
Okay, that's great. Okay. Susan?
I have nothing to say. Thank you
Okay.
for inviting us to
Yep.
speak, and we look forward to having another free, fair, and very attended election.
That's great. That's great. And Tammy, I know we have a new location. Will you want to tell everybody about your new location?
So August 31st, we consolidated our 2 office spaces. We have a office space located at the Bay Street office. And then we had a location on Glebe Road at the Talbot County Business Park. The Glebe Road location housed our voting equipment. With the help of county staff and the council, we were able to consolidate those 2 offices. And we felt that with that move, it provided an opportunity for us to invite the public in to meet election staff and tour our offices.
That's good.
At this time, it will serve as our temporary location through the 2024 presidential election.
Right.
And beyond that, we'll work with the council to
Yep, to get you a new
find a
place.
permanent location.
Yep, that sounds great. Council, any comments?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to thank you for all you do. I was an election judge from 2016 until the year I ran for this office. And it was probably one of the most rewarding volunteer positions that I had undertaken. And the staff of the Board of Elections was second to none. And I know that continues. I haven't, and I just urge everybody to try and volunteer your time and to consider being an election judge, because it is so rewarding and it's so educational to know this county and know its people. So thank you for all you do.
Yep.
Well, again, thank you, and I'm certainly looking forward to the opportunity to come to your open house on October 18th. I know that you must do much to prepare for this sort of thing. I know how important the security of your equipment is, and everything that you must do in order to be able to invite the public in to show them what you can and will be doing to protect our elections. So thank you.
I'll just echo the thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
And like I say, we're all looking forward to being at the open house and appreciate all you guys do. So you want to come on up? Got a proclamation for you. Okay, next up, we have a presentation of the Oxford Park Project proposal. Preston? Yep.
Far bottom left.
You can come on up front. There you go. You're not going to get out of this, you know.
No, they're not going to, because I'll be lucky if my voice gets through this presentation. So I was going to actually turn it over to them.
Okay, no problem.
As you guys recall, the Oxford Conservation Park.
Could you explain who you are, please?
Preston Peper, Parks and Recreation
There you
Director.
go. There you go.
We had done some master planning for the Oxford Conservation Park. That started in about 2014. For a couple years, the actual construction of the park was done in 2016. When we did the master plan, we actually master planned the whole park, the entire acreage. When we actually did the construction, we only had the funds to do maybe the front 2/3 of it. So the back 2/3 up until today has been farmed over these years. We've always tried to figure out a way how we could get that developed, how we could pay for it, maintain it. We are lucky enough to have a group that's here tonight, the Friends of the Oxford Conservation Park. 3 of the founding members are behind me. If I get you guys to raise your hands, there you go. They actually came across both Dan and Larisa and kind of pointed in my direction. So this is kind of not by any means, this is not a heavy lift by me. It's probably been more work on their part. What this grant will do is it'll allow us to take that property out of farmland and turn it into grassland. But that's something that I'm going to let Dan and Larisa explain to you guys. So with that, I will turn it over to them.
Dan Small from Washington College, and I run a program called the Natural Lands Project, where using grant funds, I work with private and public landowners to help them convert marginal cropland to wildlife habitat, for both the benefit of those species, but also for bay water quality health.
And I'm Larisa Prezioso. I'm Eastern Shore Land Conservancy's Enhanced Stewardship Manager. I help conservation easement landowners and other private landowners on the Eastern Shore get connected with habitat restoration or land management programs. And Dan's been a great partner in realizing the goals of our landowners in restoring early successional grassland habitat.
That's great.
So we didn't put together a formal presentation tonight because my understanding you've seen the proposal with the maps. We have the ability to put the map up if you have questions. So do you want to start with questions if there are any?
Yeah, if you could just go ahead and put that map up so everybody can see it, that'd be great. So Preston, I just kind of want to make sure that everybody understands the land itself is already in the park. Right now, it's just tilled.
Correct. So the
Right.
front part of the property has been already established as a passive park. The back
Right.
part, as you can see in this, it's yellow, and that bottom part, that is basically just all farmed right now. So that's the part that we're talking about, taking that out of agriculture and turning it into a grassy, grasslands area.
And that's going to add like more walkway and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, at the moment, that trail there is kind of hypothetical just for visual, but
Right.
it'll be laid out in a grass trail.
Okay.
I do have 2 updates, positive updates, since this was written and presented to you. Larisa and I did have a really good walk of the property with our grant manager for other grants and a project manager that oversees some of these types of projects. And I had asked if we could put in, and I should have prefaced, this proposal is all contingent on getting a yes from the council, but then also receiving grant funds to move forward. But if we could actually put in some management of the current habitat that's already there, that is having some invasive plant issues with this current proposal. And we got a positive on that, so I think that's really good. Because ideally, ultimately, this park will all be managed as one. And so while we're enhancing the new acreage, we can then help manage
Mhm.
some of the existing issues.
Mhm.
And then additionally, the western side, that sort of smaller block, which is actually a really nice area, is kind of getting invaded by sycamore trees. And so we propose actually trying to plant additional trees in there to increase the diversity of that woodlot that's developing. So they are also in favor of that as well.
That's good. Great.
So that more southern portion would become wooded over time.
The very southern portion, if I could stand up.
Yeah.
So this section here within, those will be planted in trees to create kind of a screen and add additional wooded areas to existing woods there. The orange will all be meadow. And then obviously just north of there is meadow currently surrounding the wetland. And our goal is to keep that open meadow landscape, which is critical for grassland birds, which are all suffering really heavy population declines. The area that's developing into a woodlot is this section here.
The portion closest to the Oxford Firehouse.
Yeah. And so that's the area I was talking about, adding additional species of trees just to add diversity to the woodlot there, which is beneficial to woodland birds.
What are I'm aware that that we've had a challenge with Phragmites in the space in the wetlands part of the space already. I hope we've managed to nip that problem in the bud. What are the other issues that you're seeing there?
I think the Phragmites is ongoing and probably will be just because of its nature. Calorie pear is an invasive pear tree, also known as Bradford pear, that unfortunately is still sold in nurseries. It's really invasive and quickly will invade the area. And so that is sort of the biggest concern to keeping the grassland as a grassland.
And does this require a periodic high-level mowing to keep out the woody plants in that area?
It's kind of a combination of mowing and herbicide application.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure, Preston, this might be directed to you, but it might not be. So are we still planning on connecting East Pier to this area as well? I know there were some talks of connecting East Pier through that, I guess there's a trail that's there already.
I think you're referring to the bike path.
Yes.
So there's already a mowed bike path that takes that direction. I know it was a desire from the town of Oxford to do that.
Yeah.
It's really not an easy task because trying to get a path to go up and over that private drive is really hard to do because it's got it's almost a 6-foot rise and fall, and then you've got ditches on both sides. So at the present time, we've left it as is for now.
Okay.
I know the town of Oxford had put together a grant proposal to see about doing a feasibility study. Okay. So I think we'll wait and see when that comes back and see what they came up with out of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that with the grant, if we're successful, it's a 3-year period. So establishment costs and management are all covered during that 3-year period. And then we're committed, as I am with all these other projects that we work on, to working with the county to help manage that property so it stays in optimal condition and doesn't kind of get a little bit away from us where it is kind of at this state now.
Okay, that's great.
So Preston, just one question. So if the feasibility study comes back for the trail, they would still be able to do the trail? It wouldn't interfere with one another? The park and the...
No, so if they decided to do the asphalt path or the county decided to do the asphalt path, that is totally separate from this project.
Okay, thank you.
You got anything?
No.
Okay. All right then. All right, so we're asking for
Right, so we're looking for a letter of support for Dan and Larisa to submit with this grant.
Okay.
I'll move for the letter of support.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second for a support letter. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, you guys got it. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Appreciate you coming tonight.
Nice for you to give us easy votes here.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next on the agenda is this senior care plan presentation of the FY '24. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for having us
Yep,
here.
yep.
My name's Carrie Ottey. I'm a nurse supervisor in our senior care program at the
Mhm.
Talbot County Health Department. And everybody knows Dr. Maguire.
Hello again. Maria Maguire, Health Officer.
So very excited to be here tonight to be able to share our wonderful senior care program with you all. It's a program we're very proud of. So senior care is a Maryland Department of Aging program, and it's administered by the Talbot County Health Department. So what is the senior care program? It's a statewide grant program that's funded through the Maryland Department of Aging. Every county in the state has a senior care program. The program allows for a high degree of flexibility in design and administration based on the county's resources and needs. So each county's program is unique. They each have their similarities and differences to each other. The program provides services and funds for people that are age 65 and older who may be at risk of nursing home placement. The goal is to help seniors remain safely in the community for as long as possible. So there's 4 core services that are involved in the senior care program. The first being the screening and eligibility for all available supported programs. Our staff knows the other resources that are available to seniors and the eligibility criteria for them. So we refer also to any other programs that can help meet our clients' needs. The second core service is a comprehensive assessment of individual needs. This assessment is conducted in person during a visit to the client's home. Visiting the home allows us to get a really good idea of what is going on with the client. Third core service is a case manager to secure and coordinate services. So the primary case manager is the nurse or social worker who goes out to visit that client to do the assessment. We also have 2 part-time case managers that assist us when we have more complicated or in-depth needs. And then the final core service is a pool of gap-filling funds to purchase services for those that meet the program eligibility. So a little on the history of the senior care program in Talbot County. It began back in 1982 as a pilot program with the Talbot County Health Department. It's a formal partnership between the Health Department and our Area Agency on Aging, which is Upper Shore Aging, and our Department of Social Services and our county government. So we are one of only 2 counties in Maryland that administer the senior care program at their health department through their AERS program. So what is the AERS program? The AERS program, the acronym stands for Adult Evaluation and Review Services. It's a program that we use an evidence-based assessment tool that evaluates the client's physical health, their functional status, their cognitive and psychosocial health. The assessment's conducted by a trained registered nurse or social worker. So following the assessment, we then develop a personalized comprehensive care plan that addresses each client's individual needs. So what are the advantages of administering the senior care program at the Talbot County Health Department? So as I said in the last slide, we're one of only 2 counties in the state that administer the program through their local health department. And we really believe that it's best practice to have the AERS and the senior care programs embedded together like we do. And the reasons being the AERS staff complete the assessments and care plans. It's the same assessment that is used for our Medicaid recipients who are requesting home and community-based services. The AERS program is reimbursed by the state for conducting these assessments, and that provides additional revenue for the program, allowing funding for our case management services. The nurses and social worker assessors double as our senior care case managers, so thereby it reduces the number of staff that we need to deliver the services. And program eligibility determination, enrollment, and services can occur on the day of the assessment. So it's a seamless process for us. When the nurse or the social worker makes a home visit, she also has all of the senior care enrollment paperwork ready to complete at the same time with the client. In other counties, the AERS staff would go out to assess the client, and then they would refer out to the senior care program that might be housed at their Department of Social Services or their area agency on aging. A couple other benefits. The AERS nurses also provide oversight for our personal assistance services that are provided by the grant funds. So we have a certified nursing assistant who performs our personal care services, such as bathing, grooming, and dressing with clients in their home. Supervision's required for these services by a registered nurse. So that's supervision is provided by our AERS nurses. And also, our AERS nurses can monitor the client's health and functional status and can provide feedback to their primary care practitioners and give them some insight on what might be going on in the home that they might not see on a medical appointment in the office with the doctor. So overall, this approach of having senior care and AERS together at the health department is better for the clients as well. They have one point of contact. They aren't getting passed along from one agency to the next, and they're being case managed by a skilled professional, a registered nurse or a social worker, which doesn't necessarily happen in other counties. Our clients also report being very satisfied with the services they receive from us. We do a satisfaction survey every year. In fiscal year 23, 99% of our respondents reported being satisfied or very satisfied with the services they receive from us. So who's eligible for the senior care program? Talbot County residents who are age 65 and older and have either a moderate or severe functional disability. They also need to meet the financial eligibility requirements, which are given to us by the Maryland Department of Aging. Their guidelines are based on 60% of the Maryland's median income in a given year. So for fiscal year 24, an individual can make up to $4,112 a month and have assets less than $11,000. A married couple can make up to $4,700 a month and have assets less than $14,000. So the income test for fiscal year 24 had a bit of a substantial increase over fiscal year 23, where back in fiscal year 23 the eligibility was about $3,100, so it's about $1,000 more a month now. So funding for the Talbot Senior Care Program. The grant award is $120,000 from the Maryland Department of Aging, and then the Talbot County contribution is $65,000 for a total of $185,000 for fiscal year 24. Our plan is 8% of that for administration, 29% for case management, and 63% for gap filling, which is our direct services that we provide to seniors. So the graph at the bottom there that just goes historically through the past 5 years, the number of seniors we served each year and the total project funding that we had each year, and then an average amount that could have been spent per senior for fiscal year. So that average amount is just the total project funding divided by the number of seniors that we served in that year. So in fiscal year 23, the average amount was about $925 allocated to spend for each senior in our program. The actual amounts spent per client for direct services ranged anywhere from $33 for the year to $4,908 for the fiscal year, with that higher amount being used for some of our most needy clients. So the point I kind of want to make with this slide is the $925 per year spent on a senior. The cost of nursing home care is $316 per day, So that translates to over $115,000 a year for a patient to be in the nursing home. So the little things that we do, that $925 a year, if it can prevent or even just delay nursing home admission, it's really a huge savings. The final column here, we have not had a wait list for our services and funds for the past 5 years. Probably on the brink of starting one at this time, which I can get into later, the increased costs of running this program. I have a slide at the end about program challenges where I'll get a little more into that. So what are gap filling funds? These are our direct services that we provide to our seniors. These are the things that Medicare doesn't pay for. Senior care is used as a payer of last resort when there's no other resource available. We would use funds from federal, state, or other local programs first. The funds are allocated based on the identified needs in the assessment and plan of care completed by the nurse or social worker. So what exactly are we paying for? This graph shows what we spent our money on in fiscal year 23. The biggest chunk going towards chore services. About a third of our gap filling funds were used for chores in fiscal year 23. It's really one of the first things that folks start to struggle with. Laundry, vacuuming, mopping floors, cleaning the bathroom are all very difficult when you have mobility issues. The second biggest chunk would be for personal care services. That's our bathing, dressing, grooming, things like that, which we have a CNA that provides those services. Unfortunately, she's only one person, so we do also contract with an agency to provide some of these services to our clients. Personal emergency response systems, those are the buttons that someone would wear around their neck or as a watch that they could push if they were to have a fall or a medical emergency. And a good deal of our clients live alone, so we feel it's very important to provide them with that. Prescription copays, 16% of our spending in fiscal year 23. We want our folks to take their medications that are prescribed by the doctor, and if not being able to afford them is an obstacle for them, we want to step in and be able to do that for them. And then the remaining 6% is just medical supplies, incontinence supplies, equipment, and transportation. And I'm just going to go through some statistics quickly. In fiscal year 23, these statistics are all based on fiscal year 23 numbers. We served far more females than males, 74% female, 26% male, which is no surprise there. The life expectancy is generally longer for females. And then the breakdown by race, 53% of our clients reported identifying as white, 46% identified as Black or African American, with 1% as other. So as you can see, this program focuses on equity for people that may have experienced some disparities in their lives. Some more statistics by age. Our biggest age group is our 75 to 84-year-olds, but we have a good chunk there of the 85 plus, which is really wonderful to see people living that long these days. So their living arrangements, a majority of our clients live by themselves, 59% of them. Some of that is by choice. Many of them, it's due to loss of their spouse. Many of them report not wanting to be a burden to their family, and many of them just don't have family nearby. So living alone puts them at higher risk for injury, social isolation, depression, anxiety, malnutrition, and a host of other issues. The monthly income of our senior care clients in fiscal year 23, as you can see from this, about a third of our clients are living at or below the federal poverty level, which is about $1,215 per month. That's 31% of them. And then it just expands out from there. Less than $1,500 a month, we have 58% of our clients living below that amount. In the side box over here, I just had a little fact about our clients. 44% of our senior care clients have Medicare only with no supplemental insurance. So nothing to cover that 20% that Medicare doesn't cover. We do have some clients that have partial Medicaid that pays for their copays, and then some clients are paying privately for a supplemental insurance plan, but 44% of them have nothing. So they are responsible for the 20% that Medicare's not covering when they go to the doctor. And then impairment in activities of daily living. So our assessment includes an evaluation of the client's functional abilities. These are activities of daily living like bathing, dressing, toileting, ambulating, meal preparation, chores, managing their finances, things like that. So we assess to see whether they can do these tasks independently, whether they need some help, or whether they need total assistance with those. So as you can see, 54% of our clients have a severe impairment in their activities of daily living. 46% have a moderate impairment.
And I, sorry to interrupt here, but,
No,
but I
please.
presume that by providing even that level of service in the home, allowing somebody to stay in the home, this is still it's better for their being in familiar surroundings, but it saves cost too over moving into another facility.
Absolutely, and most people these days want to age in their homes. I mean, if you talk to people, they've unfortunately heard a lot of bad stories from nursing homes, or they know somebody who's had a bad experience. So there's really been an increase in wanting to age in place and age in their homes. So we like to do what we can to try to make that happen for them. Also, over to the side there, 32% of our senior care clients receive a nursing facility level of care when we assess them. So when we submit our assessment, the level of care is generated based on their responses. It's either generated by the computer or reviewed by a doctor to generate the level of care. So the 32%, about a third of our clients are living in the community, but needing the level of care that would be provided in a nursing facility. So our support and partnerships, we certainly don't do this alone. We rely on a lot of support from other agencies. The support from the county government for the funding of this program, we would not be able to run this program like we do without the additional funds that we receive from the county. The Talbot County Health Department obviously provides us with support, including in-kind staffing, including fiscal and admin support. Our area agency on aging, Upper Shore Aging, provides us with support to run the program, and also other programs that support our clients, Meals on Wheels, our respite care grant, and our senior centers. And thanks to Upper Shore Aging for being here today to show their support of the program. Our Talbot County Department of Social Services, we have a close partnership with Adult Protective Services and share quite a few clients. And they also provide us with additional funding for particular client issues when we need help with that. The Talbot Commission on Aging has done a huge senior supply drive over the past few years. And we've collected through, the Commission on Aging has collected through that over $16,000 worth of donated supplies. And this is things like incontinence supplies, pull-ups, pads, things like that, that people in the community really need and have difficulty affording. And then last but not least, our civic, church, and community organizations. We couldn't do this without them either. So St. Vincent de Paul, Union Dorcas, the Bay 100 Community Volunteers, Partners in Care, Community for Life, the Lions Club, the Neighborhood Service Center, St. Mark's Ministries, Home Instead, and Delmarva Community Services, just to name a few there. So program challenges. This map that I put up here is from the Maryland Department of Aging's State Plan on Aging for 2022 to 2025. And it projects an increasing number of seniors in Talbot County's population, a projected 15% increase in the population 60 plus from 2020 to 2030. So that's huge. Will we see an increase in our senior care clients? I guess it's yet yet to be seen. And some other program challenges. The biggest challenge we have is the increasing cost of goods and services. Over the past year, incontinence supplies have increased anywhere from 15 to 50%, depending on the type of supply. Our nutritional supplements, like Ensure and Glucerna, have increased 50 to 100% in the past year and really skyrocketed in the past few months. Medication copays, we saw a 20% cost increase in the past year. The personal care services that we pay through an agency for, an 18.5% cost increase. The personal emergency response systems, a 19% cost increase in the past year. And then salary increases for the past year for Talbot County Health Department employees who are state employees. There's been some pretty significant salary increases depending on job classification. And so another challenge for the program is just a challenge that's across the healthcare field, is an increasing need for caregivers, both paid and informal. There's a huge shortage of direct care workers right now who aren't paid adequately for the important job that they do. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the healthcare workforce has been huge. And then, like I said before, a growing preference for people aging at home. And kind of the things they're hearing these days about nursing facilities and really wanting to stay at home instead. And then family and caregiver stress and burnout, and limited resources for respite for those families. So thank you for letting us be out here today to speak with you. I want to thank the county for their continued support of this program. We would not be able to serve the number of clients that we serve without the additional county funds. I want to thank Dr. Maguire and the health department too for the support that they always provide us. And thank you to Upper Shore Aging for their support. I know I can always reach out to them when I need them. And I also want to give a big thank you to my senior services team. They're some of the most caring, dedicated professionals I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So our nurses, Kimberly Mitchell, Veronica Reinbold, Judy Fauntleroy, and our social workers, Mary Sellers and Debbie Toth, our CNA, Donna Jenkins, and our care coordinator, Marcy Stinson. So together, our team has about 115 years of combined experience in the AERS and senior care programs. So I think that's really huge. We have a ton of just experience and knowledge to refer to. So I'd like to leave you with a few thank yous from the clients themselves. I have 3 short letters that I'd like to present you from our clients, and these are in their own words. We asked them, what does the health department's senior care program mean to you? So the first response is, I've lived in Talbot County a long time and I love living here. I don't have much money and it's hard to buy the things I need. I've been with the health department's senior program a long time and I know and love the people that work with me. They always treat me very kind. I know they'll help with whatever I need. Every month they bring me supplies I wouldn't be able to buy, and they help me when problems pop up. They have been really good to me, and I love them so much. Our second letter, the health department has been excellent and has helped with whatever I have needed. You need to feel good because you've been there for me and have made me feel important as a person. You think about doing things for me without even hesitating. Each time we talk, you show utmost concerns about whatever I need. Saying nice things about you is easy because my grandmother always said that telling the truth is easy. And you make me feel good as a person and that you really want to help me with whatever I need. And then finally, approximately 15 months ago, I suffered a debilitating stroke. Subsequently, I spent almost a year in the hospital and in rehab. Since returning home with no family in the area, I have relied on the services of Talbot County Health Department's Senior Services Program for my personal care. Being unable to care for myself made it difficult, as well as embarrassing, to go out for doctor's appointments and other appointments in the community. I ask that you please consider funding the above very valuable program so that seniors such as myself can maintain the dignity that we so desire. So thank you again for letting us be here to present this and to inform you about what we do and how important we think it is.
Thank you. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
So
Yep.
healthcare has a very special place in my heart because my daughter's in nursing school getting her MSN. So
Wonderful.
so excited about that. But I know the gap that you feel in this community. I know so many seniors that use this program and they rave about the program. I had interaction with a 70-year-old woman that had no family, was calling her family members and got no answer and tried to take her own life.
Oh.
So I know the mental health capacity that you provide for some of these individuals that live alone. Someone over 70 years old should never, ever consider anything like that. So I know how valuable this program is. So thank you to all the healthcare workers. Thank you to all the nurses and for all that you do for the seniors in this community, because it is a very, very, very good resource for us in Talbot County. So thank you.
Well said.
Thank you for the very informative presentation, particularly for the public as well as us, of course. And I can't say much more than that, and it was wonderful, and keep doing what you're doing.
We hope to. Thank you.
Ms. Ottey, thank you for sharing not only the work that the program is doing, but the impact on those clients who wrote in. That's really quite touching.
Thank you.
I'll echo what Ms. Vice President Lesher just said, especially the letters, right? Hearing what they're writing towards and the care that they received. I mean, that's just that's the icing on top of the cake. So thank you.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much. I mean, you guys are special. We really need what you've done here for Talbot County. That's for sure, because of the community itself. Because we have so many seniors, and the time that you spend and the letters and all that stuff. It's pretty special. So I really appreciate it. Being that said, do we need to? Okay. We're
This
good.
is just a presentation tonight.
Yep. Okay, that's good. Well, okay, no action.
Yeah, and we
No-
just want to
no
thank you
action.
again
Yeah.
for your support
Yeah.
for this program. It's
Yeah.
really something that other counties sort of think about emulating, but they just can't without the resources that we
Right.
have here.
Yeah.
And so we're really grateful for the county support and also the support of all the other agencies
Yeah.
that we work with.
And we got special people back here in the agency. We got Kate and we've got Andy back here. So he hates when I do this. Hates it. But we appreciate what you guys do for us too. So it's definitely a team effort on all of you, and we really appreciate everything you do. Okay. Yeah.
One of the strongest programs I ever saw in my 17 years as county manager, and you all deserve a little bit of credit for adding the extra funding to it.
Yeah.
We need to keep that going. I appreciate Dr. Maguire, who's assured me it'll be staffed in the same drive as previously, so thank you all.
Okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Okay. Okay. All right, next is going to be council discussion on this amendment for the educational legislation for FY '24 for this session. So we need to kind of discuss on how we want to go about that. Mr. Thomas, you want to go ahead and get us started?
Sure. So
Yep.
at our last meeting, Councilmember Stepp had
Yep.
proposed an amendment to 3-12A-01 of the education article regarding the filling of vacancies on the county's Board of Education. Under the current law, the governor fills any vacancies that arise. The proposal Councilmember Stepp brought forward would have the council filling that vacancy. In response to some of the comments from the council at the last meeting, I worked with Councilmember Milkey to prepare another proposal. As you all probably know, there's 7 elected members. They currently have staggered terms, so four are elected, and then 2 years later, another 3 are elected. So under this proposal, if there was a vacancy, the council would still fill it, but if the vacancy occurs before the filing deadline for the general election occurring in the second year, then the person appointed to fill that vacancy by the council would only serve until the election. And then at that election, the voters would elect, from that district, would elect somebody to serve out the remainder of the term. And then if it occurs after that filing deadline, then the person appointed by the council would just serve out the term. And this proposal is generally consistent with how other counties fill vacancies in that manner. It's either governor appoints, the elected body appoints, or the elected body appoints, and then they'll have somebody elected at the next general election. None other counties do any sort of special election process, and I think one of the reasons why is that can be tricky to do when you have the county board running it, and particularly when you have years with presidential or gubernatorial elections. It can be difficult if they have to unexpectedly conduct an election. So so both proposals are consistent with how different counties handle it. I also added in some language regarding the process by which the council would actually appoint somebody, including having public interviews and giving notice to the public of that so that they could observe.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
We do have two elected bodies in this county. There's, of course, this council, but there's also the Board of Education, which is fully elected, but for the student member. I wonder if appointment by this body puts the Board of Education in sort of a subject role to the Board of Education, and whether we might not substitute the Board of Education in that appointing role to fill vacancies in the interim, rather than this council.
Is there any other county that does that?
Well, not every county has a fully elected school board.
Is there any other county in Maryland that the Board of Ed appoints the vacancy? Is my question.
Bear with me 1 second.
So Mr. Vice, I'm just, so I can understand what you're saying, if you would want that board to appoint somebody for their seat.
For the vacant seat within that body.
Well, one of the reasons why I proposed an alternative to Mr. Stout, which was, I mean, it was good that he brought it to our attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was supportive of the concept of having a special election, but that doesn't seem to be very practical.
Right.
So the principal difference between Councilman Stepp's proposal and mine is it outlines exactly how the council would go about appointing somebody, and it's transparent. It's advertised. It seeks people. So I think it's a compromise. I don't think that it's as transparent and open to the public by having the Board of Education appoint them. This would give people advertised to come forward, for us to interview them in public, and then to make a decision. So I think it's a good compromise to make sure that there's transparency in the process.
I got you. Okay.
I certainly agree with both, either or. I mean, but the amended version, the only question I had would be, why would we be interviewing in public? We do not interview in public for any other board that we appoint individuals to.
Well, that's because it's not an elected board.
Even still, I mean, if somebody's running, I mean, I don't know, that may be a violation of their privacy or something. I don't know, I'm just saying. I don't know how they would feel about that, being publicly interviewed and allowing the public to sit there and watch them through that interviewing process.
Well, other counties,
I mean, I
at
just
least
think
one
that
other county does do that, so it's not. It's been tried, and apparently successfully, because they haven't changed it, but,
Well,
the
I
idea
just-
is the transparency.
Which I get. I do understand that.
And I don't see
get
any
that.
difference between that and, if you have a candidate forum and you make a presentation.
Yeah, but this would be individualized by us. I mean, that candidate forum is a little bit different from being interviewed.
If I could take a moment to kind of
Yeah.
bring all these points together and hearing what, the rest of council is saying, I'd love to, express why I believe what I originally presented is the right avenue for council here, as well as our Board of Elections, as well as all of our citizens. So the legislation, as I put forward, right, is basically just a gateway to get to our state legislators to basically say, we want to modify the legislature and how we do this. We still want to keep an elected school board, just as we do. This is just a gateway to do that. I purposely left it blank in the beginning because I want our Board of Education, who is an elected body, to have input on how we are going to come together as a council, to address these vacancies that are in the Board of Education. So, Councilman Milky, I appreciate the detail that you put into this, but I believe we have not engaged our Board of Education in that dialogue, right? This, as it is with my request, gives us, again, the availability to have those conversations. It gives us the time to come up with that and then move together, not just as a council and mimicking other councils that are around the rest of the state.
But the legislation doesn't provide for that, your proposed legislation. And my concern was that it's sort of left out there. Well, we'll do this according to some rules, and it's like everything else that overwhelms us, we kind of put it on the back burner until we're, faced with a situation where we have a vacancy, and then we have to,
Well, that's on us. If it goes on the back burner, that's on us. And I
Well,
can
that's
tell you,
why I
if
proposed
if
it.
I'm if as the one who kind of has driven this, I will make sure that doesn't happen, right? As soon as we get this in there, we have the pre-filing deadline of November 1st. I'd love to get that in, and then starting in November, let's get together with the Board of Education. Let's have a public session. Let's have an interaction with them so they can see, the public can see how we want to come up together to come up with how we are going to, the rules that are going to govern this appointment process. Again, mine is just a gateway to get in, so then we can, at that point, have those discussions and then move forward together as both a county council, again, mimicking what other counties in the state are doing, as well as in conjunction, and see the partnership between both the Board of Education as well as county council, and then we can do our county justice.
So we can do this. This goes to our legislatures,
Yes.
just to give us the yay or nay whether or not we can
Yes. And this
make
would
that
seek-
change.
And
I
this would
don't
seek
know.
for basically, this would seek for a pre-file, right, in both the House
Pre-file
and the
on
Senate.
November 1st, yep.
And then they can cross-file those, and that can show, obviously, if we had this letter of intent, or letter of request from council to them, that shows our willingness. That's going to show Annapolis our willingness to work together and to put the decisions back in the local counties.
And then once we have that, we can meet with the Board of Ed, get
Absolutely.
public comments,
As I mentioned,
and then
in my-
finalize.
Absolutely. As I mentioned initially, I said, this is not something that I want to just say, oh, we're the county council, we're going to appoint whoever we want. No, that's certainly not how I wish to see that go down. I just want to make sure that we're able to appoint local folks who we know. Again, not in a nonpartisan fashion. This isn't, a Republican, a Democrat, independent thing. This is just, we know those folks that will want to be on the school board, that will put their names forward. We see them in the grocery markets. We see them at the library. They come to county council meetings. This just allows us to appoint the folks that we know in our community that will do a phenomenal job for us, as opposed to a governor appointment who would not, they don't know these folks.
Agreed.
And I just proposed a process because, I don't know whether the state legislature, in considering the proposal, would look at it as not being complete because we haven't laid out
Right.
what our program is.
And if
To
we can,
appoint somebody.
and to that point,
And we can involve
Yeah.
the Board of Ed in
Right.
our
Yeah.
process.
And if there's a way to modify this as it goes throughout the process, which I'm pretty sure there is, Patrick, keep me honest, if we wanted to add something after it's been pre-filed, could we add additional language if we come up together as a Board of Education and County Council?
The bill can certainly be amended as it moves through the legislative process. And I'm sorry, Councilmember, to your question, I just briefly in checking through the other statutes, I did not see one where the Board of Education fills a vacancy. I think, as I mentioned, I think it's either the governor fills it, the elected body fills it, or, and then they have some provide for an
hybrid.
election as
Okay.
well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just want
Okay.
to make sure we don't miss the opportunity to
Yep.
get the gateway in, so
Right.
that we move
Yeah.
forward,
Absolutely.
engaging our Board of Education
Okay.
and just show that unity between the two.
Well,
Okay.
Mr. Stepp's proposal is silent about engaging the Board of Education or not. Ms. Milky's proposal is also silent. The opportunity is there in both cases.
Right.
So I don't see any disadvantage to moving with the more open and transparent process. It doesn't preclude any of those further steps that this council could take.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that Mr. Steps is?
I think I would prefer the option of moving this to the next election, do a shorter term appointment as Ms. Milky has proposed. So that if there's a vacancy, let's say there's a vacancy for somebody whose term has yet another 3 years to run, that if this were in place today, we could make an appointment until the general election next year, at which point the voters of that district could choose.
Well, I sort of think the process, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that Mr. Stepp's idea is to get it to Annapolis, and then after it's in Annapolis and it's okay, take it out of the governor's hands and puts it in our hands, then we can all meet and discuss on how the proposal is going to happen.
Yeah, we can start that at our very first meeting in November, right? In conjunction with our
If
board,
that's
too.
what I'm understanding, what you want to do.
Yes.
This is sort of working with the school board, coming up with a process. Am I right?
Correct. And like I said, I think there's some
I think I'd
Some
rather,
positive points to-
I think I'd rather work with the school board to come up with the process.
I would as well. Because that doesn't usurp their authority as an elected body.
Of course. I mean, that's what we're
Yeah, I
Ms.
think
Milky's proposal does not preclude that at all.
that's fine.
We can still do that with this more specific proposal, and have it in there for the that we would move this process to an election at the first available opportunity. This council would not be making 3-year appointments. We'd be making 1 or 2-year appointments at most.
And that may come out in those discussions, right?
And
I'd rather
yeah.
start with a clean slate.
Yeah.
I'd rather our Board of Elections have
Yeah,
that
they can-
input as opposed to us making that input on their behalf.
Right, I think you've come up with a lot of great decisions there. I just think it needs to be in front of everybody in an open discussion with the school board. That's all that I'm
We'll
thinking.
just add that to mine.
Yeah. So,
I was just saying, I don't think either, as Vice President Lesher said, I don't
Yeah.
think either proposal precludes that. I think the fundamental difference is, let's use the last election as an example. So
Yeah.
if somebody was elected to the board at the 2022 election, and let's say they served 1 year, and then they, for whatever reason, vacated their seat. Under Councilmember Stepp's proposal, the council would appoint somebody to fill out the remainder of that person's term, so 3 years. Under Councilmember Milky's proposal, the council would appoint somebody who would only serve until the 2024 general election, and then the voters would elect somebody to fill out the remainder of that term. That's really the fundamental difference between the two proposals.
Right.
Okay.
I'd rather trust it to the voters.
Yeah,
All right.
I still prefer the clean slate method again, so we can come up with that process in conjunction with the
Okay.
Board of Elections.
all right, so do we want to vote on both of them? Is that how we should do this? Or,
I think so. We would
Okay.
vote on, Councilmember
y-
Steps first, and then
okay,
Councilmember Milky's.
so option 1 and option 2, can we say that?
So
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to proceed with the language that's in my version,
Okay, and option 1.
in option 1.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion second for Mr. Stepp's proposal. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lusher?
Nay.
Ms. Milky?
Nay.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And we don't go,
Okay.
then we don't go forward with mine.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Okay. We good? Okay. All right.
So once we get the word from the legislature, we can come back and
We
finalize
start making up, yep.
the amendment.
That's when
I would-
we,
But when do they do that?
Okay.
So we have a pre-filing deadline, keep me honest here, Patrick, you
So
give
we'll-
of November
November
1st
1st.
for the
Mhm.
pre-file?
Yes, so we'll submit this to our local delegation for pre-filing and
Mhm.
be in advance of the November 1st deadline.
Yeah, and then let's engage our Board of Education sooner than later and get those conversations started. So if we need to make modifications to our legislation request in conjunction with our
Mhm.
state legislators, then
Do we request a workshop with the board for
once that gets passed, I would
October
say.
24th?
What do you mean, once it gets passed?
Well, it still has to go to the
Right.
state, the General Assembly for a vote.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that they will.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean-
we
Well,
could,
what is the timing of coming up with the process by which they're,
Well, wait,
Yes,
So we'll be sending this, so it'll be pre-filed for the General Assembly to
Correct.
consider once they convene in
But-
January.
but the difference was that in the one that's pre-filed, it would have a process for us to go to. So what I'm hearing now is we're gonna send a bill that doesn't have a process for us to appoint somebody, and that's the one that's gonna be considered by the legislature, and then we're gonna work on a plan?
The appointment, the process language is the same in both
Yeah.
bills.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's
No,
the same.
no, what I'm saying is, Councilman Stepp's proposal is silent on what the process is for the council to appoint somebody.
but it will not be once we have those conversations with the Board of Elections.
And, well, that's my question,
I'm
because,
sorry, Board of
The
Education. sorry.
process is the same as there was the language that was in the bill that I worked with you on. I made the same changes I worked with Councilmember Stepp to make the same changes to his, so that they mirrored each other, the only distinction being the election versus the appointment.
Right, so as
But the
his-
process is the same, whereby, the council would provide public notice, the manner that which the public notice is published, the interviews, that language is all the same.
it's in his?
Yes.
Well, the one
It
that-
wasn't originally, but after you and I started working on it, I also worked with him to have the same
Okay.
language, because that part of the bill was the same, so it made sense that they would.
That's not the one that was presented, though.
That's not what
That's not
appears in the
what we have.
Granicus.
That's not
Could-
what
Could
we
we,
have.
That's
could
not
we
what
take
we
a look
have.
at that revised version, maybe
It says
on
the county council
24th?
shall adopt rules governing the procedure through which an individual may apply to fill a vacancy on the county board.
No,
But that's not what we just voted on.
No, we voted on this bill right here that was in,
In Granicus.
Yes.
what do you have?
Same
Did
one
you,
that's in Granicus.
you approved,
Right,
you
but
worked with Patrick to draft another one?
I sent you
That
two
would
to
say
put in
interviewing
it.
process, what she had added to hers?
Yeah.
We had originally started talking about it, but that's not what made it to Granicus.
Right, so I
So
sent
this
you
is,
both
this is the
final
original
versions.
version
That-
that we discussed.
Yeah, well, this will be, my vote will stand with the original version then, because that interviewing process has to be tweaked. Or my vote will be nay.
Okay.
But the question becomes, after you answer the question, whether the version we have with the provision in section G3 is in the bill we just passed.
No,
And-
this is what we passed. We passed what, this right here.
This one,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So there is no rules that we have approved at this time for selecting. But the question is this bill the one that the state legislature is going to consider?
Initially, so as worded, as we voted on, that's the version that's gonna go there. But obviously, as we have those interactions with our Board of Education, and we come up with that process, we can then add that, to those filings as they move through. Now, and again, you know, if this doesn't pass the state the state legislature vote, this doesn't happen at all.
Right.
So
Yeah,
we'll need to advocate
right.
for that at,
Mhm.
at a state level.
So can
So,
we
I mean,
send
you-
this resolution, sorry, can we send this resolution to the Board of Ed so that they can take a look at it and then set up a work session or discussion with them so that we can start the discussion sooner rather than later and be proactive
Sure,
and have
we can.
have everything,
Yeah.
in place and ready to go
Well, I think it's
in
smart.
case we need to amend through the process of the legislature.
Can we request that we do that I know we've got 2 workshops on the 24th, but can we manage to do that on the 24th as well?
Have a
And
third work session on the,
third work session on the
with the Board of
24th?
Ed.
Why would we need to do it on the 24th?
Well, that would allow us to amend this proposal based on that consent before this November 1st filing deadline.
That's too soon.
Cutting it
I
close,
think
but
that's
it's a good
putting
idea.
it too quick. That's too much.
I just wanna make sure we have, you know, proper time to make sure we get the wording right. I don't wanna
I
rush
agree.
it, per se,
I agree.
right? I wanna just make sure that we again, we get the gateway, the one that's in Granicus that we just voted on. That's our gateway, then we start those discussions with the Board of Education, and then we refine that, you know, as, you know, after the
But
discussion.
then there's a question, if this bill is presented to the state legislature, does it contain the language directing how appointment is going to occur?
I would hope by January we can come up with that, we can come up with a
Well,
consensus.
is that permissible?
Well, right
Or
now,
are you
it simply,
limited?
it says that we would pull from, it says that we would appoint from a list. I mean, the normal process, they would send us the name, just like they send it to the governor.
That's not the version I had.
and I apologize, it appears that we have an incorrect version of Mr. Steps and Granicus, so that's where this conversation is leading to, so there's some confusion here.
Okay, so what you handed us is,
Is apparently the correct version for Mr. Steps.
Well, then,
I would,
Does that render the
I would
vote
still prefer
void?
it to be the original version.
'Cause we didn't know
which is
what we were voting
Which is
on.
what we worked on, you know, which is what we worked on originally. That way we can come up with the process with the Board of Education.
Right, was this given, did Patrick give this to Mr. Step to review, to put in Granicus?
we didn't get
Yes.
it when we voted.
Yeah, no, we did not have this when we voted. In Granicus, we
So
had
we
the
didn't approve
we
this.
had the original version.
Just to be clear, the version that you voted on was the original version that
Correct.
originally said that the
No.
board, that the council would, do you have? That the council shall adopt rules governing the procedures through which individual may apply to fill a vacancy on the board, and not the more detailed process regarding how that vacancy is filled.
Yes.
If,
Correct.
That's what's in Granicus.
if the stumbling block here is that more detailed language about interviewing in public and so forth, could we consider, on the 24th, still before the filing deadline, could we consider a version that looks like Mr. Steps, but only with the addition of the next available election opportunity? It would still say the simple language that the council would adopt rules governing the procedure and nothing further about the procedure, and then still kick it to the next general election. And then we trust the people to it,
Well, I
rather than
think what we
making
need
three-year
to do
appointments.
is, we need to have the actual legislation that we're voting on, because,
We did.
We did.
In
no, we
Granicus.
didn't.
Yes, we did. What was in Granicus is the original document that Dave did.
That's what we voted on.
But now we're considering this version that has more
So-
details.
I'm
So-
not considering this version because this version was not in our packets for
Right,
us
so what I'm
to vote
suggesting
on.
is, this may be the solution, this may be the compromise between mine and Dave's. And so why
and
not
it
come
may
back
be.
on the 24th and consider this, tweak it, and vote on it?
His bill.
And it may be, but again, I would like to make sure that we have our Board of Education's input on that.
okay.
I
So-
suggest,
What I'm saying is-
I suggested a lot of things in my original request when it came over, right? The best, in my opinion, the most transparent way to do it is, again, get the gateway document, the one that we just voted on as a council, and then we publicly with the Board of Education, come up with a process that really outlines this the way that it should.
Okay, okay. So let's back up here. So what we voted on, okay,
I think we should read into the
Yes.
record what
Yes.
the council is voting on, so everybody is
That's
clear, because
exactly
we
what I
have
was getting ready to say.
Yes.
I appreciate that, Ms. Morris. So let's read into the record,
You have it right there.
what we actually voted on originally.
Do we just need to read from G1 forward?
Correct.
Yes.
So this is reading from G1 forward.
Okay.
The governor in brackets and in bold, which means new language added. In the event of a vacancy on the county board, the county council, now going back to existing language, shall appoint a new member, new language, from the district in which the vacancy exists, old language, to fill, taking out any, adding the word the, old language vacancy, taking out the wording on the county board, until a successor is elected and qualifies at the next congressional election. G2, a resident of the district in which a vacancy exists may apply for appointment by the taking out the word governor, adding the wording county council to fill the vacancy. And G3 is all new. The county council shall adopt rules governing the procedure through which an individual may apply to fill a vacancy on the county board.
And then after that, just as a matter of record too, it mentions the student member shall be appointed and serve on the county board in accordance with, Article 3-12A-06 of this subtitle.
That's existing language, that's not
existing
part of that.
language, that has nothing to do with us.
No, the bill shows the entire section, but Ms. Morris just read the language proposed.
So, would
Okay.
you like to take a vote so everybody's clear that this is what you're voting on, or does the record stand?
Well, first of all, I just want to make sure that's what we voted on.
Yes.
Okay, so we're all good. Okay,
Which
we're all
one?
clear.
Which one?
What is in Granicus?
What is in
Okay.
Granicus?
So what I
What is in
handed out
Granicus?
was a different version. There
Com-
seemed to be some confusion. I
Yes.
apologize.
I'm sure there's gonna be pieces of yours, pieces of, of everyone's input here, most importantly, including our Board of Education's, that
Mhm.
is gonna bring this process to,
Well, my point is, rather than have that chaos, why not take this under consideration, come up with a bill, and then present it and vote on it on the 24th? That still gives us time to get it to our delegation.
I'm not opposed to having a work session with them to do that. I mean, I just wanna make sure we have enough time. If they have concerns or anything else, we wanna make sure we properly address them and to move forward.
So where are we at on the 24th?
So on the 24th, I will work with the Board of Education to see if we can schedule a work session that day that possibly might start, depending on their work schedule. I don't know. I think it would be at 1:30, but I'm pretty sure several of their members work, and so I don't know that Tuesday during the day is convenient for them.
All right, well, I'll leave that up to you, but let's try to get something set up if we
Okay.
can.
Yep.
Okay? All right, good.
So where do we stand with a
We s-
bill that we just voted on? I mean, is that,
Well, right now, the
Right.
support will say that it's supported by a majority of the council,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
as opposed to being supported by the council.
Majority
Okay.
gets the job.
I was just gonna say that we ought to
Right.
maybe rescind it and then revisit the issue with the plan that we've just discussed for the 24th. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Just like our resolutions, just like our numbered bills, they're a work in progress, just as this one is. This is just the gateway start, so that we can move it forward.
Okay. All right, let's move on in introduction of legislation. Madam Secretary, could you go ahead and read the bill into the record?
An emergency bill to amend bill numbers 1244 and 1479 for the purpose of expanding the scope of work of the capital project to replace the roof of the south wing of the Talbot County Courthouse to also include replacing the roof of the north wing of the Talbot County Courthouse without increasing the total amount of the appropriation therefore.
Okay. Mr. Thomas, you want to go ahead and explain that?
Yes, so bill numbers 1244 and 1279 provided for a capital project to replace the roof on the south wing of the courthouse. Since then, we've also determined that the roof of the north wing also needs to be replaced. But because the legislation was specific to the south wing, we need to amend the bill to include the north wing, even though there's no increase in the cost of the appropriation. But there is urgency, and I believe you have a memo from Brian Moore, there is urgency to complete this work before the winter weather approaches, because obviously with the rain and snow, the increase in rain and snow could exacerbate issues with the building. So
Okay.
that's why this is coming forward as an emergency bill, so that we can hopefully get this passed and get the work underway as soon as possible.
Okay, great.
So
Okay.
in short, 2 roofs, same price.
2 roofs, same price.
Seems
Okay.
like a no-brainer.
Sounds good. Okay, raise your hand if you want to introduce this bill.
So introduced by council.
This will be known as Bill number 1549, and the public hearing will be on Tuesday, November 14th at 6:30 p.m.
All right, great.
What was the date again, Susan?
14th.
Excuse me,
14th,
14th?
14th.
6:30. Okay, next is the public hearing. We got a series of public hearings. Madam Secretary, you want to go, you want to do number 345, please?
Resolution number 345, a resolution to amend the Talbot County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan for the purpose of adding or modifying the Talbot County capital project for fiscal years 2024 and 2025 to add a new capital project in the amount of $12.0 million for the purpose of replacing and/or rehabilitating the town of Easton sewer collection system to mitigate inflow and infiltration.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, you want to go ahead and explain this, and Mike, you want to come on up?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Murtaugh on
Okay.
on this one.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty straightforward.
You want to tell the
I'm
public,
sorry.
yep, tell the
Mike
public.
Murtaugh, Talbot
Yep.
County Department of Public
Yep.
Works.
Yep.
This 345 is, I don't know the specifics of what the town of Easton's plans are, but it should be similar to what we did in St. Michael's, which is just replacing, sealing pipes, junctions and whatnot in the legacy collection system to keep groundwater from getting into the system, and also inflow, like surface water getting into the system, which just overloads the treatment plants. So that's the intent of the work.
And that work is done by them, not our money, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's what we need to make sure everybody knows.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open it, the public hearing. I'll give you 3 minutes if you want to speak individually, and 5 minutes if you're going to be speaking for an organization. So I'll go ahead and open it up for thanks, Mike, 3:45. Over here to my left. Anybody want to come up and talk about 3:45? Okay. All right. Over here to my left, anybody want to speak about that? 3:45? Okay. Okay, so, is this something, Madam Secretary, we can go ahead and vote on? Okay, so, I'm gonna go ahead and close the, public hearing on 3:45. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second to go ahead and move forward with Bill 345. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Next, Madam Secretary, Bill 346.
Resolution number 346, a resolution to amend the Talbot County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan for the purpose of adding or modifying the Talbot County capital project for fiscal years 2024 and 2025 to add a new capital project in the amount of $8.0 million for the purpose of replacing and/or rehabilitating the Region 5 Tillman sewer collection system to mitigate inflow and infiltration.
Okay. You want to come on up again? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Mike Murtaugh, Talbot County
Yep.
Public Works. Essentially, the same sort of project. This is literally similar to what we've done in St. Michael's.
Mhm.
Obviously, we have high water tables down there.
Mhm.
We have very old legacy systems.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to seal up the collection system to keep from overloading the treatment plant.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay.
All right, like I said, I'm going to open up to the public hearing. I'll give you 3 minutes individually, and if you want to represent somebody, I'll give you 5. Here to my left, anybody want to come up and talk about 346? Anybody on my right, 346? Okay. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to go ahead and move forward on 346?
We can just move this to a vote. You don't need a
I
motion.
believe so. Right,
I
Patrick?
don't need a
Just
motion?
call the
Yes.
roll.
Patrick
Okay.
agreed.
It's eligible for a vote.
Okay, okay, Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. All right, next is Resolution 349.
Resolution 349, a resolution to amend the official road name list for Talbot County to change the names of Lincoln Road and Shell Mill Avenue to Bellevue School Road and Turner Avenue respectively in the village of Bellevue, Talbot County, Maryland, pursuant to section 131.5C of the Talbot County Code.
Mr. Murtaugh, you want to speak about this one more time?
Okay, so, Mike Murtaugh, Talbot County Public Works. This is, an existing, community in Bellevue. It had laid dormant for many years, and, it was purchased by, it was revised to fewer lots, purchased by a developer, and it's under development.
Mm-hmm.
Their, the original revision plat used the same names that the roads had forever. And so there's been a desire to change those names. So
Mhm.
they're private roads, and they're changing them from Lincoln Road and Shell Mill to Bellevue School Road and Turner Avenue.
Okay.
And I would just add, because these road names are in the county road name list, not under the county code, it can only be changed by resolution of the council, so that's why we
Okay.
need to go through this process.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so I'll go ahead and open it up to the public on 349, and I'll give you 3 minutes individually and 5 minutes for organization. Mr. Showalters?
President Callahan, members of the
Yeah.
council, thank you very much. Ryan Showalter, I'm appearing on behalf of Long Iron Investment Group, which is the current owner,
Mhm.
developer of these lots. As Mr. Murtaugh noted, these lots were platted decades ago with road names that were established by a subdivider many years ago. The Ripple family replatted those lots several years ago, consolidated a number of small lots into a smaller number of larger lots, and retained road names that existed for many years. After discussions with the community, there's a desire to change 2 of the names. There are not existing residents or historic residents on these streets. We're not changing people's street names or requiring people to change their addresses. These are just names of 2 roads that were paper streets. So we're changing names in advance of having people moving in to use names that are more reflective of the community. And
Okay.
we appreciate your support.
Okay, appreciate it. Sounds good. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody else on the right? Okay. So I'll go ahead and close the public hearing on that. And I'll call for a vote. Madam Secretary?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay. You got your road names. You're welcome. Okay. Madam Secretary, could you go to the next, which would be Bill 1548?
Bill number 1548, a bill to authorize Talbot County, Maryland, the county, to borrow not more than $800,000 in order to finance and refinance improvements to certain wastewater facilities in the county, and to effect such borrowing by the issuance and sale of one or more series of its general obligation bonds payable from ad valorem taxes to be levied by the county, exempting the bonds from the provisions of sections 19-205 and 19-207 of the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, authorizing the consolidation of separate series of bonds into one or more bonds, authorizing the refunding of such bonds, and relating generally to the issuance and sale of such bonds for such purposes.
Okay. All right, 1548, we're going to open that to the public hearing. 3 minutes for individuals, 5 minutes for our organization. Anybody want to speak on 1548? 1548, anybody want to speak about it? Okay. I'll close it, the public hearing on 1548, and call it for a vote. Madam Secretary?
This needs to go to third reader.
Oh,
so
it does?
which we can just allow to happen unless there's a need to rush this.
There's no need to rush this.
No need to
It'll
rush.
just
We
be
can
on
do
the
it
next agenda.
on the next
and
agenda,
you'll
okay.
Be eligible to vote.
Okay, we'll push that to next meeting and vote it on next meeting. Okay. Okay. All right, so we're through with the public hearing. The status of the public hearing currently scheduled for, okay. Now we're at Resolution 338.
Resolution 338, a resolution to amend the Talbot County Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan for consistency with discharge permit number 19-DP-3460, issued by the Maryland Department of the Environment on October 27th, 2022, and to require that any future expansion of the new Lakeside wastewater treatment plant shall require an amendment to the Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan.
Okay, Resolution 338. So where do we stand with that? And that's the public hearing, correct? Or is it-
No, this is just council
just a
discussion.
okay, all
Mr.
right.
President,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
think I can help explain. So the
Okay.
planning, so these three resolutions, 338, 347, and 348,
Okay,
have been introduced by council. They were scheduled for public hearings before the council on October, at your next meeting on, I believe, October 24th. However, the Planning Commission held their public hearings on the resolutions last Wednesday. They found that 338, as presented, was not consistent with the county's comprehensive plan, and they postponed consideration of 347 and 348 to a later date. So we're bringing this forward because the council may wish to consider postponing the public hearings until after the Planning Commission has made a recommendation, and they're on all three, and has concluded their business, so that the public will have the benefit of that information, and as will the council, and then the council can finally act on these, in these matters, assuming that the Planning Commission finds them consistent with the comprehensive plan.
okay. All right, council feel okay with that, to go ahead and push that off?
I think it's, go ahead.
I was going to suggest that before we proceed with the consideration of these three resolutions, that we schedule a work session with the Planning Commission and MDE so that everybody is clear as to what is needed in these amendments.
Say that again, Lynn.
I'm proposing that before we consider these three resolutions, that we have a work session with the the Planning Commission and MDE so that everybody understands what needs to be done with respect to these. Because they didn't vote, as I said, they tabled the last two. They also suggested that with regard to 338, that if it was tweaked, they would reconsider it.
Right.
So it seems to me that we have to have a discussion about it, so
I
that
agree.
everybody's on the same
agree.
page.
I
agree.
agree, and that was proposed to County Manager Clay Stant to set up a meeting with MDE, so I agree. And so now formally for the record, yeah, I agree, we need to have a meeting with MDE. Work
Okay.
session.
So regardless, the conclusion is that we should not proceed with the public hearings on October 24th.
Correct.
Postpone those
Correct.
Correct.
Postpone until after we have
until after we get an opinion
Mhm.
from the, a finding from the
planning commission.
planning commission.
Mhm.
Is this for all three of those resolutions that
Yes.
are here, 338, 347, and 348?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would agree with that.
Okay. We
That
good?
gives the sufficient direction to the staff.
Yes.
You okay with that? Okay, sounds good. All right, next on the agenda is, Mr. Murtaugh, you want to give us an update on, Goldsboro Neck Road? Excuse me.
Okay, so, the project for Goldsboro Neck Road and Glebe Road culvert replacement. So this project was, essentially
Good idea.
is to replace a failing corrugated metal pipe culvert under Goldsboro Neck Road at the intersection with Glebe Road. It's a large culvert, it's 72 inches. So the project will replace this culvert with a 78-inch reinforced concrete pipe culvert. And then also as part of the project, it will add a left turn lane for southbound Goldsboro Neck Road onto Glebe Road, some widening for about 350 feet, and a modest 2-foot shoulders on either side of the road.
Mhm.
So the project was advertised this summer. It was awarded to David A. Bramble at the beginning of August 8th. Since that award, there's been some things going on behind the scenes. But to perform the improvements, some Verizon lines need to be relocated, of course at extra cost, but that's been approved. So we've been contacted by Verizon. They're gonna start doing that work this week. As far as like putting in conduits and whatnot, they're still ordering cables. That work won't require any actual, it's not anticipated to require any road closures. Might be some flagging operations or things of that nature. So David A. Bramble, the contractor, is in the process of, they've had a lot of shop drawings, detailed drawings for construction of the pipe and the head walls and whatnot. They've been getting approved. So really what we're waiting for at the moment is the manufacture and delivery of these large pipes. So they anticipate that in the next few weeks. They anticipate starting construction the second week of November. We won't have a specific date until they get a commitment from the pipe manufacturer to do that. We have the construction will require complete closure of Goldsboro Neck Road to put this pipe in. It's anticipated to last up to 30 days. Hopefully it won't, but we have to prepare for that. And so we have, the contractor has and our consultant, we have a maintenance of traffic for a detour. That detour will be, essentially the closure to through traffic of Goldsboro Neck Road will be between Vila Road and Glebe. And the detour will be Mistletoe Road, which, as you know, the town extended it to Goldsboro Neck a couple of years ago. And so that's where we're at. Hopefully it'll go smoothly.
Mhm.
That's pretty much the status of the project.
Hey, Mike, just a quick question.
Certainly.
So, two things. So do you think like the detour going through Mistletoe Drive, so people are going out most of the time on 50?
Correct.
So do you think it might be, instead of bringing all that traffic through the park, do you think they should go to the light and go on the bypass? I'm just curious.
Right, so I think that, realistically,
Uh-huh,
I think once people take the detour once, that's what they'll do.
okay,
People that are familiar.
okay,
But we still need that detour to, for folks that aren't. And,
Okay.
you know, as you're aware, because of all the map apps and such, we have a lot of traffic on that road and Glebe Road from people that aren't familiar. So we have to provide that detour. Otherwise, the detour would have to start all the way at the far end of Airport Road, and I think that
I
would
got
be
you.
difficult.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yes, I
yeah.
think that, as a practical matter, that's what folks will do.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so.
And when you say closing for 30 days, does that mean the whole project from Villa Road to the culvert, all that's gonna be done, or just, like, it'll be some through traffic, but it's still gonna be going on?
So the 30 days is to put the culvert in, but also to from a you know, I guess a constructability perspective, since we're widening the road,
Right, right,
and all the widenings to one side,
Right,
because we're
right.
trying to stay off those individual small properties. So it makes it a little difficult to do it in phases. But, so the anticipation is to get this work done. There will likely be, you know, ancillary type work that'll be just single lane closures or something. But I think the good news is we've worked with this contractor on multiple similar projects. In fact, right down the street is that, I guess it's the headwaters of Glebe Creek. They did a big culvert replacement several years ago. And, you know, they're a big contractor, big local contractor, and, they want to get it done as quick as we
Okay.
do.
Okay, good.
So I think that 30 days is the outside window,
Okay.
just in case there's some weather issues. So once we get a definitive date, obviously the council will be advised of that, and we'll start getting advanced, like, variable message boards out there as soon as we can, and
Okay.
Newspaper and social
Sure.
media and such.
Okay.
So that's
Great.
the plan.
Any discussion from council on that? Yeah, go ahead.
Just a question, with the widening project here, I guess this is the final section of Goldsboro Neck Road that we've done all the way from Airport Road to Villa Road. Now this is that final.
So there's actually a small piece between this and what we widened on the other side of Vila Road. That culvert that we replaced several years ago will have to be widened some, and so it's gonna be a little more demanding permit-wise. So because of some of this funding, which was, what is it, Rural Maryland Council grant monies, there's some windows on that, when to use it. So we wanted to go ahead and get this underway now. So there is a small section that will still need to be done.
With the new ditches here, I presume there's an opportunity to install our best management practice stormwater ditch retrofits
Correct.
alongside this new section?
Right, so the east side ditch is what we call a flat bottom ditch, which is actually a best management practice as cited by MDE to manage the runoff there. So as part of this project, it'll likely just be a turf or something of that nature. And then as we move forward, if we want to enhance that with other like native vegetation or something, we can revisit it then. So if that answers the
Yeah,
question.
I'd love to see it done all at
Okay.
once if we can possibly make that happen.
Sure thing. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? for
Just
Mr.
making
Murphy?
sure, Mike, we're good with all things EMS, obviously, because them reporting out of the airport there.
Right, so, of course, we'll certainly contact everyone, but the sheriff's office has been involved, they're good with this, and 911 also, they just need to know when it's gonna happen. Board of Ed also, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right.
So
Yeah.
in follow-up to Mike's presentation, the first item on the agenda is to request council consideration for the approval of that section of Goldsboro Neck Road between Glebe Road and Villa Road for a period of up to 30 days, starting approximately the second week in November.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion, a second, to approximately close Glebe Road or Goldsboro Neck Road for about 30 days. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay.
Great, and I'd like to invite Ann Roan to come up from our Planning and Zoning Office. The next item is a request from the Department of Planning and Zoning for a letter of acceptance of a Maryland Department of Natural Resources Resiliency through Restoration Initiative funding for the Tillman on Chesapeake Community Association's Shoreline Project. The Department of Planning and Zoning has been working with the Community Association in Tillman on this project, and they are seeking council approval to accept funding in the amount of $433,363 for implementing and construction of an adaptive and resilient coastline. If you have anything else to add.
Ann Roan, Planning and Zoning. This is a very exciting project. This is been working with as Jessica said, with the Tillman on the Chesapeake Community Association for a shoreline restoration project. The county received a grant in excess of $33,000 for the design of the project. That was closed out, as you could see in the letter. This funding is for the actual implementation for that project. And this is a non-matching grant. There are no commitments financially from the county being requested. The Community Association has applied, this isn't in your letter, but they have applied through the federal government's National Fish and Wildlife Foundation for additional funds to do the implementation. If they are awarded that, this funding would act as a match for that funding. In the event that they're not awarded, although it's looking very favorable, we've been getting good feedback from them, the community will have to work with the consultant that did the design work to see what a phase one would be, or how to phase this project. But they sort of have that in their back pocket at this moment. But the real hope is that we get I say we, but they get that National Fish and Wildlife Foundation funding, and the whole project can be completed. But this is a determined community association. They've been very involved. They consider this project to be a model that can be replicated. So even though it's on the community association's property, they want to be able to have signage and explain the benefits of this project and help other communities see, find opportunities to replicate it. So that's where we are. The DNR requires the council to provide an acceptance letter. I've done a preliminary acceptance through the grants.gov portal, which is their portal, but they have to have a signed letter from you guys.
Ms. Roan, the project is along the main Tillman Island shoreline. Or does this involve the causeway and the Tillman,
No.
clubhouse?
It's on the main waterfront.
Right.
So
Protecting the houses.
It's protecting the houses. There has been some, as you know or can imagine, some losing of the shoreline. So this will be involving several different means of protection, and also some habitat encouragement. So so there'll be some meadows and a small dune and a pathway, and so it's not a huge project, but it's enough to make a difference, and it's certainly enough to provide a demonstration of sort of best management practices in a way that I think is going to be beneficial to the entire county. There are other locations that could benefit from this.
Okay. Any other
Alright.
questions? Council?
No.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion second to do an acceptance letter for
Acceptance,
planning and zoning on this restoration project. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Ann.
Thanks, Ann. Council, next I'd like to call up Director Kukolis for a request from the Department of Corrections to award a contract for the replacement of approximately 200 sprinkler heads at the Department of Corrections. There are sufficient funds in their capital budget for this project, and the award would go to VSC Fire and Security in the amount of $45,616.71.
Okay, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. Terry Kukolis, Director of Corrections in Talbot County, and I'll be very direct. Fire safety inspection of the Department of Corrections indicated that our fire protection system in the cell and housing areas were irreparable. They had 30-year life, and the building is 33 years of age. So the significant issue that was determined by the lab is that the present sprinkler heads would not open. They have a little bit of a cost to them because they're anti-ligature. They're spherical and cone-shaped so that nothing can be tied to them. And they are in the cell areas. And I come to seek funding so that we can very quickly resolve the issue and be back in compliance with National Fire Protection
Okay, that's great.
Administration
Good.
Acts.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Discussion?
Mr. Kukolis, I just see that we've got a large block of capital funding for various upgrades, and there was a little room in it for this. Are you confident that we'll still be able to accomplish all the other projects within the budget?
I hope to. I hope to be able to comply and keep it within the capital budget. It depends on how the shower project rolls out. If there's extenuating damage behind the walls that are at this point unknown, but we hope that it complies with our capital budget that's already been approved. And putting life safety first, it becomes a really essential and imperative. It's one of a number of inspections that are provided, including our boiler system by the state of Maryland, our elevators. They all are under a federal compliance mandate. And when we get them inspected, they generally go out to the lab, and the lab confirms what our worst fears were. And so I'm here to seek funds to replace, authorized to use funds that are already approved to replace the system as quickly as possible. It's roughly 200. It's difficult to count cells and sprinkler heads in a jail, but 3 different vendors came in and they all came up with a plus or 510. So this really gauges about 220 sprinkler heads that we look to replace in this project.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the award
Second.
for
Okay.
VSC Fire Security.
Okay, so we've got a motion second and to replace the sprinkler heads at the jail. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next, Cassandra Van Hoosers walking in. As you read in your agenda packet, the Department of Economic Development and Tourism is seeking council approval to award a sole source contract to WHC of Baltimore to fund 2 cohorts of a training program for minority-owned businesses in Talbot County. No county funds are required. The Department of Economic Development and Tourism was awarded a $50,000 grant from the Maryland Department of Economic Development Fund for this project.
Thank you. Cassandra Van Hooser, Director of Economic Development and Tourism. You have my request before you. We have the money in hand from the Maryland Rural Economic Development Fund, which was approved by the Governor's Office, the Regional Council, and the Department of Commerce. So this program has been vetted. We have chosen sole source procurement because the gentleman we have selected is the star in this arena, and he offers this program for Johns Hopkins, for Morgan State, and for the Small Business Administration, as well as Anne Arundel County and Charles County. We're excited about this program because it will give us the opportunity to offer additional training to businesses that are looking to grow and prosper in Talbot County. So we're asking you to approve this.
Okay. Any questions? Discussions? Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the request?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Mr. Lusher, did you want to say something? Okay. Got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Haith?
Aye.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then just the last thing tonight is to announce that unfortunately Easton Airport Day, which was scheduled for Saturday,
Yep.
October 14th, has been canceled due to the forecast. That event takes about a year to plan in advance. Unfortunately, we will not be able to reschedule for this year. Stay tuned for 2024.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, sorry to hear about that. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. Do we have a list or anything out there? Do you know?
Not today.
No? Okay, no problem. Does anybody like to come up and say anything? He's writing.
It would be great.
Okay, okay.
Short, quick.
No problem. We like short and quick.
Terrence Bernard.
Yep.
A reminder that there is a public presentation tomorrow at St. Peter's and Paul, 6 p.m. This is put on by the Maryland Voter Integrity Group. The founder is Ms. Robin Sachs. There'll be a presentation and there'll be a question and answer time period, open to the public, free.
Okay, great.
Please attend.
Sounds good. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else want to say anything? Okay. I think we're, okay, we're down to council comments.
Starting at mine?
You want me to? You want me to go to Dave?
Go to Dave. I'm still
All right,
writing.
all right,
I'm still
go ahead.
writing my
No,
comments.
no problem.
I was
Go ahead,
writing
go
my
ahead,
comments.
go ahead, Dave.
No, I'll keep it short tonight.
Okay, I got you. Mr. Lasher.
I have nothing.
Okay, Ms. Melky.
Ditto.
Okay, well, you
Nobody has
want me to talk?
Nobody has nothing but me. Oh my goodness. I look,
Yeah.
I only have two things. I
Yep.
just wanted to encourage the public to attend the Resource Day event that's hosted by the Talbot Hunger Coalition on Saturday, October 14th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then also the Minority Business Resource Fair that's hosted by the Talbot County Economic Development and Tourism Office, Chesapeake Multicultural Resource Center, and Unity for Entrepreneurship in Maryland. And that's going to be held at the Waterfowl Building in Easton from 4 to 7, I believe is the time for that.
Okay.
So I just wanted to let the community know, if anybody's interested in business resources or any other general resources in Talbot County, these two events would be great to attend. And that's all I have.
I think, okay, great.
Very good.
I guess all I had is I just wanted to remind everybody that, we're starting at 6 again. So the people that have tuned in a little bit late or whatever, so we're going to be, we'll be to 6 o'clock from here on out until next year. Mr. Lusher, you want to go ahead and end it for us?
The County Council's next meeting will be held on Tuesday, October 24th, beginning at 6 o'clock p.m. The council will be convening an open session at 4:30 p.m. and then adjourning into closed session to discuss real estate, legal, and personnel matters as listed on the statement for closing that meeting. Therefore, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting and reconvene as noted?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.